Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here, and I'm going to be taking you all on an update through what Melissa has been doing today. It is about to reach Category 5 intensity in probably a few hours from now and could become a very historic hurricane, not just because of it impacting Jamaica, but maybe the intensity as well, and we'll go over that in today's video. As we go ahead and take a look at our current satellite imagery of Melissa here, you can see it is now once again potentially starting to intensify a lot faster again. You could see it did have some structural issues around a couple hours ago, but ever since nighttime hit, this thing has developed a very symmetrical central dense overcast, aka CDO for short, and this is going to help Melissa potentially rapidly intensify tonight just a little bit more, and this is something that we're all going to really have to watch out for. And in fact, earlier on this afternoon, we got some high-resolution, zoomed-in mesoscale satellite data. You could see the eye of Melissa was really intense. A lot of your gravity wave structures going with it. This has been a really crazy hurricane throughout the entirety of this afternoon. And it is very mesmerizing to look at, but also very dangerous for Jamaica. So now we're going to go over our National Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty here. We're zoomed right into Jamaica here because that is where our strongest impacts will occur. You could see the National Hurricane Center still forecasts Melissa to become a Category 5 hurricane tomorrow, and it does show a low-end 160 mile an hour 5. However, I am thinking maybe 175 miles an hour at the peak is possible at this point in time. They are also showing a landfall position over here around Black River, Santa Cruz, Alligator Pond, Manville here, Albertown, Brownstown, Discovery Bay, kind of in that general vicinity there. So actually well removed from Kingston, a lot further off to the west than we were seeing yesterday. After this, Melissa will make a very intense landfall going into Cuba as well, near Guantanamo here, Santiago de Cuba, kind of in this general vicinity here, and then Turks and Caicos need to watch as well. And then much later on down, Bermuda, you need to watch closely as well. This could be a direct strike to the island if things go that way. We are now going to take a look at our aircraft reconnaissance data here from our hurricane hunters throughout today. This is our most recent mission here, and we are talking about a pressure in Melissa now to around 935 millibars at this point. This thing has rapidly intensified faster than even the HAVS A and the HAVS B hurricane models suggested. This is going to be a very dangerous, catastrophic, maybe even cataclysmic situation for Jamaica in the next coming days. As we take a look at our data, the hurricane hunters have found upwards of 130 knot flight level winds. So we are talking about 150-ish mile an hour surface winds on Melissa right now. And we are also talking about some very extreme turbulence around this time as well. And the hurricane hunters actually got pulled down by a very dangerous downdraft earlier on. So just very rough conditions out there right now in Melissa. A lot of explosive hot towers ongoing as well. Now, Melissa has been doing some weird things today. Here is our dropsonde data from our northeastern eye wall here, and you could see some very violent winds just above the surface here at your 927 millibar level, so, probably a few hundred feet off the ground. We're talking about upwards of 170 mile an hour sustained winds right now. But at the surface, around 119 to 124, we're seeing significant mixing issues going on with Melissa right now. It has actually been taking on a lot of structural changes throughout the day and has been seeing a lot of eye wall merging cycles, basically, which has been causing some intensity issues, but we are expecting this to rapidly to explosively intensify once that is all said and done. Because in traditional physics, the wind up here is going to go downwards like this. It's going to reach the surface as your pressure continues to drop. So we could wake up to a pretty alarming Category 5 hurricane tomorrow morning. I also want to take a look at our current tail Doppler radar data from our hurricane hunters, and you can see a very violent, formidable Category 4 hurricane. I really cannot draw a circle this evening. Melissa sure can, though, if you saw satellite imagery from earlier. But you could see there is some very intense rainfall rates currently ongoing in Melissa's eye wall and outer bands, and there is no sign of a traditional eye wall replacement cycle taking place. Just a bunch of mergers right now, like we see a band right there. That could get a little closer and merge on in like that. So that has been causing a lot of fluctuations today. Our composite wind speed right now shows the following: upwards of 120 to 125 knots along your eye wall. I mean, you can see it up here, maximum winds just like that. This is why the National Hurricane Center is showing a 145 mile an hour system at this current point in time. So again, you may have seen higher readings, but the tail Doppler radar does in fact suggest 145 as a current intensity. Now it is time for my absolute least favorite part of the entire recording. This is where we go over our key messages. Now you need to listen to me carefully, because there is going to be some very dire, very loud wording in this discussion by the National Hurricane Center. Starting off with point 1, Jamaica, seek shelter now. They are not messing around with Melissa at all. Damaging winds and heavy rainfall tonight and Monday will cause catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides before potentially devastating winds arrive. Devastating. I usually don't see them use wording like this. Monday night and Tuesday morning. Extensive infrastructural damage, long-duration power and communication outages, and isolation of communities are expected. Folks, they do not use wording like this ever. This is an extraordinarily rare circumstance. Now, I may have forgotten to put that in the title or in the thumbnail with the purple text, but still, my point stands. This is an exceptionally rare event ongoing. Life-threatening storm surge and damaging waves are expected along portions of the southern coast Monday night and Tuesday morning. Jamaica, evacuation orders have just been issued, and you do, in fact, have time to evacuate, because Melissa is moving even slower than forecasted and is actually moving southwest right now, which is a very, very bad for the western portions of the island, and I'll go ahead and explain why later in the video. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and landslides are expected across southwestern Haiti and southern portions of the Dominican Republic through midweek. This is not going to stop anytime soon. This goes all the way through Wednesday. It is only Sunday. You've been dealing with this for the past 2 days. Please know that. That is very dangerous. In Haiti, extensive infrastructural damage and isolation of communities is likely. Again, you've been dealing with this. Although winds have temporarily decreased on the Tibetan Plateau, they are likely to increase again across much of western Haiti on Tuesday. Not as bad as Jamaica, though. Eastern Cuba, geez, a broken record at this point. Life-threatening storm surge is expected along portions of the southern coast of eastern Cuba late Tuesday and Tuesday night. Damaging winds and heavy rainfall with life-threatening flash or potentially catastrophic flash flooding and landslides. I mean, we cannot get away from this wording, right? How slowly Melissa is going to be moving, and just the rainfall rates in the system as well are also expected to be on Monday. Preparations should be rushed to completion. Okay, Southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, monitor Melissa closely. There's an increasing risk of a significant storm surge, damaging winds, heavy rainfall Tuesday and Wednesday. Watches will be required early Monday. This is by far the worst hurricane I have ever tracked in my entire career. Going on through into your 4-day rainfall forecast, we're talking about potentially upwards of 3 to 4 feet of rain in eastern Jamaica. This is a very serious and alarming situation. Again, you're going to have mountains in that area, and I'm going to explain later in the video why impacts will be maximized in that area, despite the landfall being further off to the west. And also Kingston, upwards of 30 inches. Let's not forget about that. So 750 to maybe 900 millimeters of rain is expected across some areas. That is very destructive, catastrophic, in the mountains, cataclysmic indeed. Now here's your track guidance here. You notice our models are taking it a lot further west. I think there's a couple that don't show a landfall, and let me be totally frank with you all, that is still a possibility, as the strength of Melissa will actually build the ridge to its north more than forecasted. And again, this is moving southwest right now. I'm not even joking. You will see that in the video. That is, again, going to add more track uncertainties, unfortunately, as all the models show this moving west-northwest right now. Intensity guidance, please do not take this seriously, though. Again, the HWRF model and the National Hurricane Center just shows becoming a Category 5. Well, there's really no shock there. Now, just one more thing before we move on to our in-depth analysis here of our model data. Let's talk about our upper ocean heat content here on cyclonic weather. We do have our center of Melissa right within here, okay? That is where Melissa is located. It is currently moving southwest like this, just like that. Let's take a look here. We have upper ocean heat content values over 200 units. This undoubtedly, if Melissa can get down in these waters here, we could talk about a sub 900 millibar hurricane in the next few days. We could be talking about Melissa. I don't think it'll reach its physical limits, but it is possible. Remember, a few videos ago, we did think that was a possibility. Again, it's tracking much further southwest than forecasted. This is not to be taken lightly. There was a bit of good news this morning. We do have some wind shear over Melissa right now. It's not nearly enough, though. We're talking around 10 to 15 knots of shear. However, earlier this morning, it was upwards of 20 knots, and we did see some weakening, but again, that doesn't matter, because Melissa is stronger and it's back better, or worse, you should say, than ever. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Google DeepMind model here, and you can see 100% chance of this striking western Jamaica. This has been shifting a lot further west, though, so I wouldn't be shocked if in the next run, we had some members going off kind of in this general direction here off the coast. But still, a Category 5 strike is the most likely scenario. You can see all your nasty, non-edible strands of spaghetti right there. That does not look like some tasty spaghetti at all. Especially with it being pink. I don't know how that would taste. Ugh. Not good. Now it's time to take a look at our hurricane model data. Some of the images you're about to see are going to be very insane, so viewer discretion is advised for viewing this particular model set here. And this is going to be looking very intense. Looking at our HWRF model here, you can see a very well-defined eye, which we are seeing right now, so no surprise that is tracking on off to the west. And this does bring it on into Tuesday morning. Here's a powerful Category 4 hurricane. We are talking about very intense rainfall ongoing, catastrophic flooding going into eastern Jamaica there, and your tornado risk as well with that. You can see that band there containing tornadoes, maybe a couple of which could be strong, moving on through into eastern Cuba, making that landfall, Turks and Caicos, southwest Bahamas, then on through into Bermuda. Your wind speeds on the system look like the following. Here you can see it intensifying to a high-end Cat 4, almost a low-end Cat 5 as we go on through into tomorrow. And then this does make a very devastating landfall here as a Category 3, but I think this will be a 4 going on through into Tuesday morning. You can see the whole entire island does get swallowed up in very damaging to destructive winds, including Kingston. You're not out of this. And then into Cuba and all the rest of those areas, but we're trying to get to the HAVS data here. Our HMON model is a little bit more intense here. Again, Category 4 landfall here. This is in western Jamaica. And you can see this moving through, going on through into Tuesday evening, into Tuesday night, into eastern Jamaica. Turks and Caicos going on through into Wednesday morning, and then Bermuda it does miss. Your winds on this particular model run here does show a Category 5 hurricane, 160 miles an hour right there as we go late tonight, which I really do expect at this point. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked by the time I end the recording and go ahead and hop into a live stream if they announce a Category 5, because you saw the satellite data. This thing looks very menacing at the moment, and you could see again Category 3. This is going to be a 4 landfall into Jamaica. And then again, this is going to be broken record data here. Now here's a story for the HAVS-A model. Buckle up. This one is just, you're going to see it in a minute. But you can see it explosively, potentially explosively intensifying going into tomorrow. Very intense pinhole eye becomes evident. This becomes a violent hurricane moving on through and makes a very catastrophic landfall into portions of western Jamaica. I'm shaking a little bit there, and you can see those rain bands making it onshore with your tornadoes as well. This is still a Category 4, maybe a high-end Cat 4, as it pops out the other end of Jamaica. That is not what you want to hear going into Cuba there. Turks and Caicos Islands. Look at the size of this eye. I just have to bring that up. There would be substantial hurricane force winds going out really far from the center. Then going on into Bermuda shows a direct landfall going on through into Friday morning. And no, I did not forget about your rainfall here. As we take a look at our HAVS-A model, it shows a lot less, mainly due to the fact it won't be moving as fast here. Upwards of 2 to maybe 3 feet across some portions of Jamaica, and that's well forecasted. Across portions of Cuba as well, upwards of 2 feet. How about your sustained winds here? It initializes it perfectly. Thumbs up, right? 145 miles an hour. But this is not the time to be smiling or laughing. We're talking about this here. Upwards of a Category 5 hurricane by tomorrow morning. This is underdoing the strength as of right now, and I'm very worried about the implications this could have down the road. Also, it shows it moving west to west northwest, which is not happening right now. Again, very bad. Talking about sustained winds of 175 miles an hour into tomorrow afternoon. That could happen at this rate. And again, you could see this thing going through some fluctuations. 170 miles an hour, 175, 181 mile an hour maximum sustained winds as we go into Tuesday morning. This is in the realm of possibilities. It wasn't yesterday, but it sure is today after looking at the data and the satellite imagery. This is going to be, according to the HAVS-A model, a catastrophic to a cataclysmic blow here, showing sustained 170 mile an hour winds, making it onshore. This is a mid-end Cat 5 landfall, very violent, moving across the island, over 120 to 130 mile an hour sustained winds. This would devastate the western portions of Jamaica, undoubtedly. Moving on through into Cuba here, same song and dance as we refresh our data here. You can see it rapidly intensifying after the Turks and Caicos area, and then into Bermuda, you need to be watching out closely. Here are our wind gusts here from this model. 195 mile an hour wind gusts into tomorrow afternoon, but this does continue strengthening here. You know, we're talking again 195 to 200 mile an hour gusts here, and brings 185 mile an hour gusts directly onto western Jamaica as we head on through into Tuesday morning. I don't know about you, but that is catastrophic to cataclysmic. You could only imagine I mean, think of a typical severe thunderstorm, right? 60-mile-an-hour winds. Picture the trees blowing around outside. Picture some of the damage that would be done. Now, triple that. That is what you would be expecting from this model in particular. Moving on through shows a very big blow to Cuba there, and refreshing the data yet again, you could see this thing on approach to Bermuda, upwards of 130-mile-an-hour gusts. Oh gosh, here comes your halves B model here. We're going to just do that temporarily here. You could see it basically stalling out here southwest of Jamaica. This does not make a landfall until Tuesday morning, and this is very serious. A pinhole eye in the mountains of Jamaica moving rapidly. And you could see again your rainfall. I cannot even describe a situation like this. And you could see it intensifying into portions of Cuba and then Turks and Caicos. As we move further on through into Bermuda, this makes a direct strike to the island again. Your rainfall totals do look like this. You could even see isolated pockets upwards of 40 inches on this particular model run. That again, that would be catastrophic. Again, I'm sorry for all the high-end wording, but there's really not much else I could do in this scenario. Again, this is going to be definitely one of the worst hurricanes I have ever tracked, if not the worst hurricane I have ever tracked. We are talking about winds here on our halves B. They are agreeing with our halves A, showing upwards of 180 miles an hour, roughly there, on approach to western Jamaica. So we do have consensus that this could peak at its upper echelon between 165 to maybe even 185 miles an hour sustained. Not out of the question, as it's moving slower than forecasted. Is still a Category 4 hurricane moving through well inland into the mountains of Jamaica. Pokes out the other end as still a Category 3, Category 4 hurricane. Then into Cuba, the Turks and Caicos, it goes after that. And then Bermuda, showing just really intense winds. Here's your final product from your halves B, showing your wind gusts. 185 mile an hour gusts possible by tomorrow morning. Wow, what a violent hurricane indeed. And then you could see, upwards of 198 to 200 plus mile an hour wind gusts here as we head on through into Tuesday morning. What is it like when it gets into the mountains, right? Upwards of 150 miles an hour still, way inland. Goodness, I've never seen a hurricane like this, especially in Jamaica. Again, Gilbert was the strongest and it was a high-end 3. This will shatter and smash those records to pieces once this thing makes landfall. And again, really not much else to say. You could see those very intense winds onto Bermuda as well. One last data product. I know, this video is just... I have no words. Here is our significant tornado parameter from our GFS model here to show you our tornado chances. I'm sorry for all the flashes as this thing moves onshore. We're talking about an STP of around maybe a 4 to a 5 around the Kingston area and just off to the west, though I do think efficient supercell production will be located on way off to the east here. And that is where you would likely see, if you did see a strong tornado, that's where it would be. And you can see, again, significant tornado parameter values do continue, upwards of a 2.5 to a 4 in some portions of the island. And really, we don't see our tornado threat die down until Tuesday night. So you're really going to have to monitor that across eastern Jamaica. And with that being said, everyone, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you found this very informative and very life-saving. This is definitely a humanitarian crisis that is about to take shape across western Jamaica here in the next coming days. If you live in western Jamaica, you either need to evacuate or seek shelter now. Not only did I put that in my title, but the National Hurricane Center has that at the first line of their key messages. I've never seen that before. This is a very violent hurricane. Alright, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to my little corner of the weather community. Share this with friends and family on social media. And if they're in Jamaica, again, you need to send them additional information such as media sources, TV broadcasts, radio sources as well. Anything you can, you need to send them right now. With that said, have a wonderful night, everyone, if you can. This data is hard to go over, and stay safe, stay very weather aware out there, everyone.